What do you think about the idea of what's going on today? What's your opinion, your thoughts, and that sort of thing?
Like the politically, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, walking around other people, talking to people, seeing art that you don't normally see. You know, I mean, I guess people when they think of art, they think of like painting and drawing. You don't always think of like all the crazy creations people can come up with, which is really nice.
You're right. And as far as the political and the religious aspect of this, do you think that this is something that should be encouraged more to get different ideas? What is your thought on that?
Yeah, I think that it should be encouraged more. I mean, a lot of people here have been pretty nice, and I'm happy there's no like physical fighting going on. You know, everyone's been pretty decently respectful, walking by and just kind of learning what they want to learn.
Okay, can you repeat that again for me?
I like the different ideas, you know, that are people, like, there's like this communist thing, we got a Muslim thing down there, we got the Catholic thing right there, different things, you know what I mean, bring it to the community. Even it's not that I disagree or agree with things, you know what I'm saying?
Just like the idea
Exactly.
of different voices being heard?
Yeah.
What's your name, young man?
My name is Nimerdine Modiji.
Okay, are you a student here?
No, I'm a high school student.
High school student? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. What do you think about this event today and the way it's been set up, no violence and everything, with all the different political groups here? Do you think that's a positive?
I think it's a major positive, especially it can really show how America can go into a multi-party system. I mean, if we want to be honest, it's not even a two-party system. It's two sides of the same coin. So I think showing how, honestly, everybody around here isn't fighting, honestly, I think that shows a lot of progress for the American people.
I agree with that, Dylan. And then what do you think can be done to encourage more of these type of events to expound and grow it even further?
I think what a lot of political parties should do is they should really start going into a lot more of the rural communities too. I mean, if we start going out there into rural communities, because there's tons of small farming towns, and if we could get a lot of them on our side, we could honestly push for a multipolar America. And honestly, that is what we need to do. We need to go to, like, say, Howell's Melon Fest and any festival in Michigan, really. That's what we need to do. We need to get everybody political. Everybody needs to be politicized because, let's be honest, saying, oh, I'm apolitical, no one's apolitical. Politics affects everybody's life, no matter what.
Dylan, you are one of the sharpest young men and that I've talked to all day. I thank you so much for your time and the best of luck to you, sir.
Well, how do we stop the war and make the peace? Call it genocide, call it whatever you want, but there's too much killing, whether it's in Gaza or Ukraine or Somalia or Congo or Sudan or Yemen or Myanmar or whatever they're planning eventually in China. That whole system of domination, that's what the Pentagon says. We're in a system of full spectrum domination. That's their vision. And we need for the peace movement, the citizens movement, the people of the world to be for full spectrum cooperation, not domination. How do we care for one another, share and help and get out of this system of war that has injured everybody?
So let me ask you this, because those are great comments. What do you think could be done to encourage more people to consider even voting for a third party like our particular alternative parties? What do you think can be done to convince them as opposed to just selling for the two-party duopoly? What do you think could be done to change that mindset?
Well, I think our alternative has to be a lot stronger. The Greens and the workers and all the parties, we're all basically in the same vision of a cooperative commonwealth where we share the wealth and redistribute in some reasonable way. And as long as we are in the duopoly, people that want to have an influence, they're caught between the no-good Democrats and the worst Republicans. But that's it. Otherwise, we are putting a vote where we should be putting some way our membership in an organization and in a network. In that paper I gave you was sort of how do we make the network of civil society out through our family and friends and teachers and co-workers and compatriots and neighbors and so on. That's what we need to get ourselves as humanity together. And the parties, unfortunately, are so caught up in money and in their domination that, you know, they don't represent the people, even when they want to. Third parties will actually be the third party will become the main party, because the Democrats and the Republicans are not serving the people, but that people know that the system doesn't work, they're getting screwed, but they think the other guy is screwing us. Rather, we're in a system that needs change. And that's the paper that I gave you. System change is what we need. The war system is a system of domination, compulsion, command, hierarchy, patriarchy, lying, greed, ultimately violence and imposition of will, rather than cooperation and caring and learning how to do best for everyone. And that's very possible. You know, people are basically pretty good, all right, and they would have it in their family if they could. There's a lot of stuff with the same patriarchy in the family, but whatever. I'm for Jill Stein. I'm for all the earlier days of time. I was an organizer for the Students for a Democratic Society.
And about this whole concept of allowing different, not just the art groups, but different political and religious groups to express themselves, I wanted to get your comment on what you think about that, the concept of letting them do that.
I think that's pretty cool. Everybody's got a voice, everybody's got their own opinions and beliefs, and I think it's nice that everybody can come together in one space to, peacefully and happily share their own thought processes and whatnot too. I think we need more inclusion with everybody of their own races or backgrounds, even if we don't agree with it, So.
Awesome comment. And then finally, in closing, Patrick, what do you think could be done to make this event better and to encourage more of this type of events in the future?
Just as long as everything goes peaceful, everybody shakes hands, smiles, and shares what they got. I don't think I can get any better than that.
And we have freedom of speech, so we should be able to respect what everybody else says and what they feel, and not persecute a person because they think differently than we do. We can all live in peace.
Very good.
See that they are reaching out, but in terms of getting input, I would say a lot of work has to be done in, getting the ideas of what the young want and really what the young can do in order to shape their future.
What do you think about the recent political debates between Trump and Biden?
Very controversial issue, but I do think both of them are very old contenders.
Very good. So I take it that that's not an endorsement, but you want to see more inclusion and younger people into the process.
And I feel like it also brings everybody together because it's not just one specific racial group or anything like that. It's everybody from different areas, different religions, and so I think that's good.
Maya, thank you so much. You all have a good day, and you too, Princess. Say hi.
Hi.
I mean, as long as everybody just kind of gets along and lets each other say what they want to say, it should be no problem.
Oh, it already works. Everyone's good, we all want the same thing. We can't let politics divide us,
What do you think about having an event like this with all the different political groups here today and coming together? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's really good and very needed. There's not many spaces where people of different political opinions can all be in one space. And I think our biggest issue is not talking to one another. I think the everyday people have a lot more in common than we think, but the two-party system kind of propagates us to believe that there's stark differences between us all, but ultimately we have similar goals. So I think that if more people were to talk, we would have better advocacy for what we actually want.
Great comment. And then what do you think about the current recent debates between the two mainstream candidates?
Yeah, I'm 25, so I haven't voted that many times, but just being on Twitter, I was shocked by how many people were so disenchanted with both candidates, yet we're still feeling like we have to vote either Democrat or Republican. And I remember calling my parents and being like, why don't we all have someone we actually want to put up there? That's kind of the point of an election.
Yes.
So I was like, I don't know, I feel like I felt, and I think a lot of other people felt held hostage by the two-party system after seeing that, and that most people don't like either of those people. Most people don't think either of them are up to the task or want to trust their safety to them. Yes. So yeah, that's
And then of course I want to piggyback off that comment, particularly with the youth. We just interviewed some young people in their teens, still high schoolers, and they were very enthusiastic. Same thing. So you're got 10 years on them, and you're in the voting process now.
Yeah.
To them, you're your auntie, kind of so to speak. Not to, but it just shows, Nina, how seriously bad the system is. So you being a younger person, what do you think could be done to encourage more third-party voting and getting people to make that leap?
I feel like when I found out about Jill Stein, I had to go look for it.
Yes.
I think more social media campaigning, maybe. I don't know if it's just not on my feeds right now, but I feel like a lot of people online are feeling hopeless, and so people started promoting more that there are other options and understanding that they are viable options, because like I also have to do my own research on what it takes for a third-party candidate to get actually like on the final ballot. So I think more education, maybe through social media, to the youth would be really helpful, so people know that there's another option.
Very good. Thank you so much for your time.
The best in that the duopoly has to go. Like there's no room in the future of this planet with its inhabitants and with all the humans and non-humans in terms of a livable world ahead of us in the second quarter of this century and the rest of this century. There's really no way forward with this coin flip that we have, because at the end of the day, the lesser of two evils is still evil.
Yes, sir. And then finally, what do you think could be done to encourage more people to consider making the leap to a third party as opposed to the programming that we typically see with wanting to vote and stick with a two-party duopoly?
So, I mean, I study political ecology, and we look at theories of change. And so there's a couple different theories. One is ruptural change, where, we kind of burn everything down and start over. And obviously that's not ideal. But there's two other theories, too, where one is symbiotic, where you move with the system as it's currently set up in order to start to dismantle that or move in a different direction. Or we also have interstitial change, where you find the cracks in the current system to slide in and start to branch out from there. So I think that all of those approaches are ideal, and the ruptural change is obviously the last possible option. But I think that people like you and myself, can get out there and just spread our voice and our message and have conversations. Because I think in this country, what we've lost is the ability to have a conversation, because it's become you're either this side or you're that side. Yes. And so if we eliminate the sides and just begin to talk to each other like humans and individuals living in a collective world, then I think that's a great starting place.
Anytime we can, it's useful and it will advance peace. What I wanted to tell you is that Daniel Ellsberg, before he died, he said we have to worry about the ICBM program, intercontinental ballistic missile, because once they are sent off, we cannot catch them back, and it would be the end of humanity. It's also a very costly program. It was passed by the Pentagon, but now it's 3 times more expensive. So on the 26th, there is a committee meeting, and we need to say no more to ICBM missile. So that's what I wanted to tell you.
Well, thank you for that comment. And I want to follow up on that, if I may, real quick. And I know that you're from France. So France is a part of NATO and the United States in their whole defense pact. So if America has ICBMs, then France and the rest of the European NATO countries has them as well. What do you think could be done to de-escalate that from the political side with parties like the Greens, who are very popular in Europe but are becoming more popular in the United States? What would you say to the people of Europe and the United States to encourage them to consider joining Green parties in Europe and in the United States?
I march every year with the French people who march in their nuclear base in Burgundy, and we have a march there, and we teach young people in Dijon afterwards, and we say no more Hiroshima, Nagasaki. So I am doing that, and there is a peace movement in France. That's an anti-nuclear peace movement, and it's important here and there to reawaken the peace movement, to be anti-nuclear, because it's a real threat. And one time Trump said, what's the use of having nuclear bombs if we don't use them? So that frightens the hell out of me and the hell out of a lot of peace activists. So we need to reawaken that consciousness and tell people, be careful, no more Hiroshima, no more Nagasaki.